Welcome to another edition of Cinema Saturday. We just got done, Zeb and I just got done talking about Master and Commander. Great movie, great time all around. It's super fun stuff. But now I've got a special guest. This is what I really wanted to talk about today. Earlier today, I went and saw the brand new Zach Kreger horror film called Weapons. And once again, joining me is the awesome, the amazing, the talented Jack of KinoFlex. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it.
Of course, I'm glad you like that. We do a little glazing here. We do a little bit of glazing on outside or Cinema Saturday. That's kind of a working title. You know, we're figuring it out as we go. But we're gonna go ahead and hop right into it because this movie was awesome. Like, and to kind of get the ball rolling on this conversation, before we actually get into the movie itself, I want to talk about something with you. I don't know if you've picked up on this. I don't know who's making movie trailers for like scary or, like suspense movies these days, but 28 years later, and the Weapons teaser trailer were amazing, dude. Like the 28 years later trailer with that like 7, 6, 11. It's like this poem from World War One overlaid with creepy energy or creepy imagery. Super scary. And both of the trailers for this revealed so little. And I think that's part of what made them good.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same case with Zach Kreger's previous film, Barbarian. It left there was a lot of creepiness. There was a lot of interesting imagery, but you didn't know what any of it was leading to. So that just encouraged you to go see even more. And uh, like you enjoyed the film, Josh, and I gotta say, I enjoyed the film a lot too. I know a lot of my appearances I could be a little nitpicky, a little pessimistic, but I have to say that this is probably the best film I've seen this year so far. Like it was Zach Kreger brought his A game, and he impressed me. Uh, but to give like a brief log line to viewers who have not yet seen it, I would describe it as The Exorcist, the 1973 film The Exorcist, meets Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners, the 2013 film, which involves I forget who was it. Russell Brand? No, not Russell Brand. I forget
It
the
was
actor.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. That's it. Terrence Howard too. Like he was in it too.
Who was the other guy?
Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, but yeah, Prisoners is a great film where Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard's kids are kidnapped or are kidnapped, and they do whatever they can to try and find them. And at the same time, Jake Gyllenhaal, a detective, races against time to find them before something bad happens to the kids. Like, so take that element and combine it with the supernatural elements of something like The Exorcist, and you get Weapons, like a really great film, which I think is going to be regarded as a cult classic, or just like a very well received horror film in years' time.
Yes, dude. And you took the words right out of my mouth because I was watching this movie and Prisoners was flashing through my mind the entire time. Prisoners is one of my favorite movies. And there's obvious some very surface level similarities, like the movie basically begins with the kidnapping of a bunch of children. Now obviously in Prisoners it's like a kidnapping. In this one, an entire, I think it's either first or third grade to whatever, like a class,
Elementary schoolers, yeah, pretty
elementary
much.
schoolers. The entire class goes missing at 2:17 a.m. They all, and a lot of the houses have ring doorbells on them, and basically these kids just get up at 2:17 and they run out of their house and they're never seen from again. And so the story kind of picks up 30 days later, and we're sort of dropped into this world of basically the town kind of reeling from the parents of these kids, the other parents of people there. They're at this like I don't know what you would call it, like a parent teacher conference, kind of berating the teacher. And after a month, people's people are dissatisfied with the fact that nothing seems to be being done. None of these kids are being found. They're not even finding the kids' bodies. So of course, the connection being they're all in the same class is a little suspicious.
Mhm.
The one thing before we jump too heavy into the plot, just to kind of sum up my thoughts on the trailer thing though, something I liked about the trailer, and I wish more movie trailers would do this. I don't know if you caught this, Jack. The movie trailer lied to us. Well, it was a lie by omission. So in the movie trailer, it talks about exactly what I just said. It talks about how the entire class of this one teacher goes missing. And it's like, whoa, why was it just her class? Why was it just these kids? But in the movie, it's revealed that, in fact, there was one student in her class that did not go
Mhm.
missing. They kept that out of the trailer, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, I do too. Like, a lot of trailers nowadays, and not just for horror movies, but, just movies in general, they have a bad habit of just showing you the entire film, because they don't trust you they don't trust their own ability, the own ability of their film to, leave little to the imagination.
Oh, absolutely. I can't tell you how many movie trailers I see, and I'm like, I've seen the movie now. Like, I don't need to go pay and watch it. I just saw the whole thing condensed into 2 minutes. So,
Mhm. Yeah,
but
and
yeah,
that's but yeah, that's
go
another
ahead. Go ahead.
detail, yeah, that's another detail that you, point out that, is symbolism that I still haven't, identified or, like, figured out because I'm only seeing it after a day later, so there's still probably going to be some aspects to the film I've missed. But you mentioned that the kids went missing at 2:17 a.m. And the only people left are two people with 17 missing: the teacher and Alex, the young boy. And later, we get like a dream
Oh, I didn't
sequence
catch that.
with the assault rifle, like with Josh Brolin, and we'll get to the. I'm skipping ahead, but like if you remember that assault rifle, that like the numbers 217 glow like across it. So I'm still trying to
Yes.
figure out the symbolism behind those numbers right there, because because Zach Krager clearly means something with it as he keeps on flashing it in front of you.
Yeah, yeah, cuz I have a friend and he's he's starting a new job and he's about to have a baby, so he's way too busy to go to the movies. And he was asking me, he was like, I won't be able to see this movie till it comes out on DVD or whatever. Just go ahead and tell me what happened. Cause he was super excited and he doesn't care
Mhm.
about spoilers. And he asked me, he goes, does 217, does the fact that all the kids got up at 2:17 a.m., does that have any significance or was that a red herring? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, in the context of the story, I would say yes, it was a red herring. Like, I don't think there was any significance to 2:17 p.m., but there was definitely some symbolism behind it. And you picked up, I didn't catch that where it was like 17 went missing and there was only two left, the one student and the teacher. I didn't pick up on
Mhm.
that. So good for you. Good on you, dude.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but again,
detective mode over
I
here.
yeah, but again, like, I still don't understand, like, what the meaning behind it is, and maybe I'll come up with an answer on a rewatch, and I'll definitely rewatch the film because this is a film that, is made to be rewatched because it's so entertaining. But, another I do not envy you trying to describe the plot to your friend because what another aspect that makes this film so unique is its non-linear storyline, because like Barbarian, for those, viewers at home who have seen it, it utilizes a chapter structure where it follows the point of view from a different character. In Barbarian, we had two, well, technically three, if you count like the weird serial killer, like a guy who abducts the women into his house.
Mhm.
But here we have like six different POV characters, which is way more ambitious. But I would say it paid off. Uh, with like Zach Kreger, like his unique storytelling, like way of telling stories paid off. And so as you mentioned, Josh, we have it starts off from the POV from the teacher. She's very unsatisfied with the lack of progress that's been made with the police not being able to find the kids. So she does her own digging, and she finds that Alex is hiding something.
Yes. So Alex is the only boy that was not abducted, and he behaves very suspiciously. Like, of course, there was two third grade classes, and he just got put in the other one. And the teacher, Justine, was it Justine, um, or Julia Garner?
That's the actress's name. We can just call her by the actress name because
Okay,
it kind of escapes me too. It might be Justine.
yeah, I think it was Justine, but she basically has been put on administrative leave. And she is, like you said, she's kind of looking into it herself, following Alex around to try and question him. And she finds some very suspicious activity going on at his house. All the windows have newspaper on them. She peeks through a crack in one and sees this couple just sort of like they're just sitting in the dark room alone. They're not like looking at anything. They're not looking at the TV. But
Hmm.
to what the point you made about the story structure, like the whole story, it's told almost like a Tarantino movie. It's told completely out of order, and it literally it has name cards. It shows Justine, and then it tells her story. Like the whole movie takes place over the course of like a day, but or 2 days,
Hmm.
and it goes into all these different characters. So like at one time, I don't know the actor's name, but he's young Han Solo. He's got a bandage on his finger. And I'm thinking, before I realized how the story was going to be structured, I'm like, okay, clearly, like, they wouldn't show that for nothing. Like, he's got something to do with it. That's what I was
Hmm.
thinking. And but then you realize he ran down this junkie named James, who ends up being an important character too. And the junkie had James had a needle in his pocket. He's searched his pocket, pricked his finger on the heroin needle, and like, it's all told kind of out of whack. It's all told like in this Tarantino-esque sequence, which actually I really enjoyed that because seeing, like, there's one character played by BD Wong, who's actually on the thumbnail of this video. He's the principal of the school, and at one point you just see him, similar to the kids, running, and he attacks Julia Garner's character, but you don't know why. This happens
Hmm.
almost like a quarter of the way through the movie, and you just saw him being all nice to her. You're like, what the heck is going on? And then it's later revealed why. It's not told in sequence.
Right. Yeah, like you said, Josh, what makes this film like very fun to watch is that it leaves little clues for you to pick up on all throughout all throughout like the beginning, and they're sort of like Chekhov's gun, uh, where you're supposed to pick. They're made for you to notice, you and it's up to, for you to for the film to give you sufficient answers as to or rewards for noticing. So uh, it invites you into the world of the film by having these little details, and then it rewards you later on by just revealing how like the significance of those details, which I felt was a lot of fun.
Yes, I loved it because and I texted you yesterday. I think it was Thursday. I was like, "Hey, you want to do a stream this weekend and we'll talk about weapons?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." And then you text me Friday that you saw the movie, and because you had seen it before me, I wanted to make it known in case I was right. I had a theory about what was going on. And I was half right and half wrong. I predicted that there was some type of mind control going on. That this had to
Voodoo
do
magic, I think you said. Yeah.
Yes. It had to do with mind control, and originally, I was thinking that it was going to be a scientific explanation, and that the witch stuff was a red herring. But then I saw a movie poster, and it had this stick on it. It had this stick with wrappings on it, And then so I switched my theory to voodoo dolls because the kids and everyone who's mind controlled, for whatever reason, it's not really explained why, when they run, they kind of run with their arms like at their side, like their arms don't swing. They just kind of go like this. You can't really see
Mhm.
me, but like their arms are like outstretched. So what I was thinking was it's like a coven of witches and they make voodoo dolls of these kids for whatever reason, and they literally have to like manually operate them like a remote control. So when they're moving the legs with their hands, the arms are just kind of at this natural side position. That's why I was
Mhm.
thinking it was voodoo dolls. Turned out it was witchcraft, it was mind control, but it was like more like ritualistic and stuff like that. And we'll get into that in a minute. But before we
Mhm.
do, I want to thank Atlas Burner. I don't know if he's still here. This is Atlas Thugged. It's been a huge contributor on the Outside the Overton channel. 1989. Thank you for sticking around, man. 2 streams about movies in a row. You're a trooper, buddy. And it is
Awesome.
an interesting movie. I like honestly, this is a spoiler friendly review. Like we are spoiling the movie here today, but if you're interested, don't turn us off. Just watch it anyway and suck it up. You're an adult. You know? But yeah, man, it was a fun, like you said, it was like a fun reveal. I even texted my friend who during the movie, I texted him. I sit in the back seat so no one can see me on my phone. But I texted him, I think we were right about the voodoo dolls because of the scene where Justine is waiting outside Alex's house and she falls asleep in her car. And then one of the figures creepily exits the house, comes up to her. I thought she had a knife in her hand. Turns out it was scissors. And she cuts off a lock of Justine's hair. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, so clearly, like, they got to use like something that belongs to the person, like a lock of hair, fingernails, who knows, to like get the connection for the magic, which again also turned out to be right.
Right. Yeah, but, so, Justine, the teacher character, after doing some digging, after finding that there's something weird going on at Alex's house, she leaves to go get gas, but then she's confronted by Josh Brolin's character, Archer, who is was introduced earlier as a very disgruntled father of one of the missing kids, and he blames her personally. He says, "Okay, does anyone else not find suspicious that the teacher?" Was one of the few people who like all the kids from her almost all the kids from her class disappeared, and we're not like grilling her, we're not delving into her like personal life, we're not she's not under arrest or anything, so he suspects her, and he gets like very obsessive to the point like he writes witch on the side of her car at one point in the beginning, and
Was that
he,
him?
I think so, like because he had like red paint in his car.
Oh, you're right. You're right, dude. I thought because there was like kids walking on her street. I thought like, and there were people giving her crank calls. I thought just it was like several people were bothering her unrelated. But you're actually right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But but even though he's super obsessed, like he actually is smart. He's a construction worker. Like he actually uses the Ring cameras on the house from the houses of people whose kids went missing, and he goes to them and he uses the footage he sees to like map out where they're all going, and eventually he realizes after Justine points it out to him later in the film that they're all going to Alex's house. But that was like a really clever like a way of figuring that all out that I didn't really consider, and I was wondering why none of the like the cops or none of the parents um, like figured that out for themselves, but. Uh, that raises like what I think is a major component to this film, and that's how the suburbs is growing increasingly like to be an unideal place to raise a family now because of an increase of danger. Like there's a lack of community. Uh, you have like people at each other's throats because they assume the worst. Because like Archer, that's the Josh Brolin's character's name. Initially, when he asks his neighbor for that footage, like the wife of the neighbor. She's like, "No," like, she's not comfortable doing that, but so then he just waited until her husband came home and said, "Hey, can I see your footage?" And then he's like he's more receptive. So and that's how he gets the footage. But it highlights how this, how none of this is like how this entire community is not figuring out the mystery immediately because they're all in disarray. None of them can trust each other, and that leads to a dangerous environment for people to prey on kids and the entire community as a whole.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point you right. I didn't think about that. I want to address 1989 theology. He said, "Who's the other guy, Josh?" This is
KinoFlex.
Jack of KinoFlex, the man, the myth, the legend. His YouTube channel is linked in the description. So if you guys are watching and you're not already subscribed to him, please go do that. Great channel, great guy. Lots of interesting. This is, I think, our third collaboration
Yeah, I think so.
for movie related content. And I'm excited for this one because like Superman, I give it a sideways thumb. Fantastic
Yeah.
Four, kind of the same, like a little bit more down. Weapons, like you said, best movie of the year so far. I really enjoyed it. And but yeah, man, like that's a good point. And I didn't think about that because one of the things to kind of support your point about the lack of community in the suburbs was someone that is surprisingly absent from the movie would be Alex's neighbors, Alex's next
Hmm.
door neighbors, because it, like I said, it's been 30 days since the children went missing. And when Justine follows Alex home to his house, you see that the yard is unkept. It's the only lawn with overgrown grass. She goes into the backyard, like there's just stuff thrown all over the place. Fallen into disarray, and but you never see anyone go and check it out. Just
Hmm.
ironically enough, the people that have the most to lose from it that aren't their neighbors at all.
Yeah. In the past, yeah, in the past, I know that some people are taking the film to be an allegory of school shootings, and while that's not necessarily like a like guns aren't necessarily an issue per se. I can kind of see like the it addressing that sort of unease of parents when it comes to like modern public schools, like how safe they are. And I think this film does a good job of just like expressing uh, that danger and why people should be more involved in their communities. That's just something I like in general about this, how this film goes about uh, social commentary, because it doesn't do like the typical Hollywood thing of, oh, here's this incredibly partisan, like very unrealistic, dumb solution. Like, if you don't want more school shootings, like here's gun control. If you don't like police incompetence, just abolish the entire police. But that's not really how it goes about it. It kind of just portrays it in a realistic way, or semi-realistic way, I should say, and lets you draw
Nuanced.
your own conclusions. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
nuanced. Yeah, but before, with that being said, like, how would you interpret like the AR-15 like symbolism in Josh Brolin's dream, if you remember it?
Yeah, that was something I was actually going to ask you because I'm not really sure, but I'll tell you because so there's clearly from the get-go a supernatural element to the kids going missing. I mean that much is obvious. And this is not like Hereditary where it's like, is it supernatural? Is it not? It's supernatural, clearly. And Justine and Josh Brolin's character, I think you said his name is Archer. It's Archer Gaff.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, they both have these dream sequences very similar where they like follow like she follows Alex, he follows Matthew, and they're both unique. And this is the sequence where you see this giant AR-15 floating in the sky. And
Hmm.
basically, like, I don't know about you, when this happened, because you see uh, Josh Brolin's son, Matthew, he runs into their house in the dream and the camera pans up. And I was expecting to see some sort of like dark puppeteer type figure, like literally with like strings coming down, like a evil
Mm,
marionette type situation. But then you see a giant AR-15 floating in the sky. And then on the, I don't know what you call it, but like the rim, like where you kind of hold it with this hand, if like this hand, if you're holding it,
yeah.
the grip, it almost becomes like a digital clock and it shows 217 on it.
Mhm,
And I was like, like it was such really cool looking imagery. And then it almost like fades away like smoke. And then the dream sequence continues. And I honestly, I don't know what it meant. I thought an AR-15, I thought what it was going to do is like he had an AR-15 and it was suggested to him like the clearly the dreams are supernatural because it turns out there is a witch and she's the one using mind control. Her name is Gladys. And in
mhm,
both of these dream sequences, you see her. So they're not
right,
just dreams. They're clearly connected to her through the magic in some way. Like they're almost like clairvoyancy. And so I was thinking it was her influencing him to get his gun to attack Justine. Because it's like we
mm,
don't know, we like when we see these people being mind controlled through voodoo, we just see them running around. We don't know what it's like for them, and we actually don't learn it. But I was thinking at that time in the movie that maybe they were like almost caught in a dream and their body was operating without their consent and they're just like sort of in this loop. uh but yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I guess you could say this is a school shooting movie, but instead of it being a school shooting, it's a witch mind controlling the kids.
right. Li Yeah, my what I got out of it, like, I have a different interpretation, and it has more to do I think I don't really think it's going for really a gun control message at all with the AR-15 imagery. What I instead think they're trying to do is just, show so to give more context, the house that the AR-15 appears above is Archer's own house,
Mhm.
where his son Matthew lives, and what I think, is that, in that scene, Archer, confesses to not spending as much time with his son. He doesn't tell him that he loves him enough. So, in addition to, the disenfranchisement of communities, I also think that the movie's trying to communicate that we become, like, parents that become disenfranchised with their own kids. So, uh, Archer, his character is trying to grapple with the possibility that maybe his son is involved or is a perpetrator of why the kids are missing, and he's trying to uh, like come to terms with that flat fact or try to combat it by denying it, and that's why he targets Justine. Like he's adamant in saying that she's the culprit to deny that his own son could somehow be responsible. That's just something I came up with.
Well, I won't lie. On its face, it feels like a little bit of a stretch, but it might be
Yeah.
because the more I think about it, the title, the title weapons, um, it's not really clear from the plot alone why the movie is called Weapons,
Mhm.
because even the children, this is what I was thinking when I heard the title and saw the trailer and came up with the mind control theory, is that these kids were almost being used as weapons of some sort, like they were being mind controlled to do a task that involved fighting. They were basically being used as weapons. But there's a scene where, like you said, Josh Brolin, by tracking down the ring camera footage of other parents, he finds a pattern, which is all of the kids are running in a straight line, like they are running towards the same place. And
Mhm.
he says, he goes, it's like they're weaponized
Missiles.
like a heat-seeking missile. They
Yeah.
just lock onto their target and go, which I thought was like, I was like, that's a little cheesy. That's a little cheesy way to ham it in. But the more I think about it, I think there actually might be some message about weapons or gun control, maybe, because think about all the time, like, there's actually quite an emphasis on weapons. Like, the cop, he threatens. He's chasing down James. He
Mhm.
threatens to shoot him with a taser. At one point, James uses his syringes as a knife to fight off the Paul, not Paul. What was the cop's
Yeah,
name?
yeah,
Was it
his name's
Paul?
Paul. Yes, Paul.
Yeah. Who's the teacher? I thought, or the principal. What was BD Wong's character's name?
Marcus, I think? I think it's Marcus.
Mark. Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. Um, because but hold on. Well, okay, all right. Well, I'm reading the comments a little bit, and we'll get into some of these theories right now. But I swear I swear I'm Creative Productions. That must be someone from your neck of the woods. I don't recognize that name. Um, he says I like the theory about the AR in the sky. I think there's something to the theory that it is a message about like weaponry, because let's see, what was his other comment here? The movie is called Weapons because Gladys is using people as her literal weapons
Yeah,
against
they
other
become
people,
yeah, they become weaponized.
which is true, but she actually, the purpose of the mind control is not to kill people. She only
Mhm.
resorts to killing people once they sort of get in her way, which
Yeah.
appears to be like maybe she's like striving for immortality because she's in. It looked like I meant to do this before we got on today, but I just didn't have the time. The actress who plays Gladys, which is the old woman, she's the witch. She looks like a young woman, maybe in her like 30s, that they put old woman makeup on.
Mhm.
Maybe 30s or 40s. I don't know. I don't quite know. But like her appearance kind of changes throughout the movie, and I think she's some element of the mind control is about making her younger or
Yeah.
rejuvenating her, healing her, because at one point you see her in bed and she looks like a corpse. I mean, like not literally, but like a just gaunt and old. And then later you see her and she looks a lot better, even without all her makeup on? So I think the whole thing about like the weapons is it's like there are many times where like people use all sorts of things like Paul's wife uses a bottle to like she tries to set Justine on fire. So I don't know. I'd have to think about it more. I need to watch it again to kind of keep track of all that. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, these are, like, pretty much our first impressions, like, we're kinda we might get some stuff right, but I'm confident that I'm pretty sure we'll get some stuff wrong too, equally. I randomly found this video on my YouTube homepage, Lamau. Oh, hey, like, welcome. We welcome everybody.
All right. And he's seen the movie. He knows what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. And what was it? Well, oh man, what was the next point I was gonna make? I don't know about you, and this is more like less so about like the message of the movie, but more like just about I thought the music and the cinematography was really good. Like
I do
there
too.
was some
Yeah.
tones in the movie that reminded me of Jaws, but it didn't sound like it was copying Jaws. I like the movie wasn't really scary, but it was creepy, and when it was creepy, it was creepy. Like the when Justine is sitting outside of Alex's house, and the door, like you're seeing the front of the house from the inside of her car, and the door just quietly opens. It's just black, like you can't see anything for like a good 5 to 10 seconds, and then you just see this woman like stumbling out with like objects in her hands. Her like arms are raised in the air. And when the people are mind controlled, it's not like they get taken over and they're like, "Oh, hello, I'm so and so." Like it is like they're being puppeted. Like they're kind of just like these like husks. And
Mhm.
there's one part, where the cop Paul, she like makes him invite them into the house, but it literally is just like him walking up and he just goes like
Yeah, they
that. And
like, even the characters know it's like, "Okay, this is, like, be on your guard, like, this is, suspicious."
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the mom with the scissors, because I honestly laughed at that scene because, like, at first she doesn't know how to get in, so she's just, like, holding the scissors, like, outside of the car.
Yeah.
Then she has to go, through the trunk. And, I just like that aspect, and I mentioned this before we, went live, that Zach Kreger, he used to do a comedy sketch show called The Wise Kids You Know, and you can really tell that with this movie because there are times, like, where it's very funny, like, it has g well-timed comedic relief like, a to give you a breather, like, just characters just, like, when they're in a terrifying situation, they're just going, like, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" Like, just reacting in a pretty realistic way.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because my friend who I was telling you about, he basically said he was like, "Well, clearly, it's like when you watch these movies, nobody reacts how we would in real life. It's like
Mhm,
with as much cinema as we like if anyone else were to like, it's like in movies whenever there's something really 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 odd that like to the movie watcher it's like, okay, clearly this is supernatural. It's like nobody can accept that in movies. In this
mhm,
movie, I mean they really don't, but they do when it happens, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like you said, Josh Brolin has this weird dream and he gets startled awake by Gladys and he's just like you said, he's just like, "What the fuck?" Like and like he what was another one, dude? Like the part at the end where oh no 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 it was when James goes into the house. I mean, he's a tweaker, but like he gets freaked out and then and like you said, he was the director used to be part of that sketch comedy group. That was something else I mentioned. This movie's funny. This
yeah.
movie has like some really well-timed jokes that don't like make it goofy. They don't take away from the seriousness of the situation.
Like, the best scene in the film, like, the biggest payoff, like, is towards the end, and it's really funny. Like, you prob I don't wanna spoil it right now, like, we can get to that later, but you know what I'm talking about, Josh, like, when she's running away, like, and then, like, going, "Ah!" Like, all throughout the neighbor's house.
That was super funny, dude. One of the things that had me laughing was at the end of the movie during the climax. Uh, Josh Brolin and Justine, they go into the house and they both get attacked by Paul the cop who's been mind controlled and James the junkie that has also been mind controlled. And it's funny because the cop is fighting a girl and this like skinny junkie is fighting Josh Brolin, who's like this muscle bound behemoth. And like the cop is easily kicking Justine's ass.
Mhm.
And Justin Brolin is easily kicking James's ass. And that's kind of played for laughs at one point because he knocks out James and then he's getting his bearings and then James lurches back to life and he knocks him out again. And then it happens again. And it literally is like he throws him across the room once, and then this time it's like he's not he's like waiting for him. And then sure enough, he gets up again and he just like throws him across the room like 5 to 6 times, and it still isn't enough to take him down.
Yeah, that was really funny. But, but I guess, to keep things going, the next chapter for the film would be like well, it's shared between Paul and James, right? Because their 2
Yes.
stories are connected. So Paul, the police officer, is the ex-boyfriend to Justine, the teacher, and, prior to meeting with her, he like catches this junkie named James. Like he's just looking for his next hit. So he's a thief. He's like going. He like robs cars that are unlocked. He goes through houses and he tries to go through this one house, but Paul catches him, and because James is an idiot, he doesn't tell him that he has a syringe in his pocket, which causes Paul to cut himself, like cut his finger open, and he freaks out. So he just goes like he punches James. I can't tell if he gave him a concussion because the character was already pretty dumb. So I don't know if it's just like unchecked brain damage or if that he was always like that. But Paul immediately realizes that he messed up because his police cruiser cam was on. So he gives him a warning and says, "Okay, I'm gonna let you go, but I don't want to see you around here ever again." And he works with the chief of police, and he says, "Okay, listen, I'll keep quiet about this, but if this guy shows up again, I can't help you out." And like then after that, Paul like he meets Justine, and he says, I think he lies by saying that that his relationship with his wife isn't doing going very good. And the reason I think he's lying is because it seems pretty one sided. The wife seems to like him, but he just doesn't like her. So he has sort of an affair with her where Justine doesn't realize that she's having an affair, and that comes up later where the wife like attacks her at a supermarket. But Paul is like really worried. He's really nervous. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Like he's very anxious over this junkie James coming by again, and he eventually does come by again, but not to report
Mhm.
him. He comes to report the missing kids for the reward money because one of the houses he was trying to rob, as you previously mentioned, uh, was Alex's house, where he spots both the catatonic parents and the catatonic kids in the basement. So he goes to the police station. Paul thinks he's there to report him, so he chases him down, and eventually he arrests him and brings him back to the house, where they both get possessed.
Yeah, and I remember to kind of the point we were making earlier about like the connection of weapons in the movie is the second time that Paul is chasing down James the junkie, he remembers to turn off his dash cam this time. He unplugs it, and then you see him unclip his cruiser shotgun. And he does bring it with him, and he puts it, and I thought he was going to kill James,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't. He chases him down. He puts the shotgun in his face, but James actually manages to convince him that he basically that like yes, I do know where the kids are, and he goes there, and I thought this was like a great moment in the movie for me. I loved it where like in Barbarian and in this movie, the director does these like hard comedic cuts. And they're kind of hard to explain. You kind of have to see what they are to know what you're talking about. And one of them was like the Paul puts James in the back of his car, his cruiser, you know, in the little jail section, and goes to Alex's house. He goes to the front door, and now we're seeing this whole interaction from James's perspective, from the back seat of the cruiser car. And we see the door open, it's pitch black, you can't see anything inside, you just see Paul talking to somebody. He goes into the house, and we've not seen the parents that were like we've only seen them like sitting still on a couch over the course of several days. So it's very unclear what's going on. The door closes, and then James goes like, what the fuck? And then it like hard cuts to nighttime, and he's stuck there because he's handcuffed, he's in the back of the car, he's kind of banging around in the cruiser. Excuse me. And he's like, what's going on? Then finally the door opens again, and Paul just comes sprinting out, pulls James out of the car, drags him into the house, and then we cut to something else. Excuse me.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the next chapter,
But
Marcus. But to like finish this like current section of Paul and James, I felt that I don't know if you. if you feel the same way, but the police, like Paul's incompetence or just general police incompetence, reminds me of the handling of the Uvalde school shooting. If you remember, like the cops were preventing parents from coming in, or like they're preventing their parents from coming in to the school to like help their kids, and like some officers that were char or security guards that were supposed to protect the kids fled instead, because by being cowards. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's sort of the energy that I felt. Like it wasn't some dumb point about like systemic racism or anything like that. It's just do you really want to put like your complete and total faith behind the police when you're not sure how every individual police officer will respond? That's the message I got out of that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think assuming this is actually like Zeb and I, we did a review of Master and Commander, and one of the actually 1989 theology, he's in our chat right now. He asked me about the movie Nobody, and
Mm.
or
With
not
Bob
Nobody. It was
Odenkirk, that nobody.
yeah, but it was some other movie. What did I say? It was Crimson Tide. I brought up Crimson Tide,
Oh, okay.
and we were talking about how like that has like kind of a liberal agenda to it. Even if like I and to me it's like I can still enjoy a good movie if it has a liberal agenda to it. It doesn't bother me as long as the movie's
Yeah.
good. And so like if this movie is a deep story about like gun control and whatever, I still enjoyed the heck out of it. But I do think you're right. Like, I think on that note, there was definitely a comment going on about like nepotism within the police force. The police are essentially inept, and because, like you said, at one point, Josh Brolin he goes to the police chief and he's asking them legitimate questions, and like he's like, well, what about this? Oh man, I wish I could remember what he asked about, but he said, oh yeah, he asked about the ring
The Ring
camera footage,
cameras,
and he goes,
yes.
yes, and then he goes like, he's like, I haven't heard any reports about that, and the police chief is like, well, that's because they don't report to you, which I was like, kind of a douchey way to address a guy that is just like he's clearly upset about his kid. Like his kid's been missing for a month. Can you blame the dude for being like, "Hey, what's going on?" And then he's like, and the police chief is just like, "Listen, I feel if it were my kid, I'd feel the same way." And he goes, "Well, isn't the FBI like has the FBI?" And he's like, "I've talked with the FBI, and we're doing all we can." Like and like you said, and it was kind of funny because there were 17 kids that went missing. Josh Brolin used the footage from his own Ring camera doorbell to draw the first line on the map. He didn't go to all 17 families. He just went to two. He went to his and one other person's, and he was able to find out where the house was. And all he had
Right,
to do was go to those two data points and then talk to Justine, or just look at where like the police had all the same information. They had all the Ring camera footage. They knew where Alex lived. It wasn't even that hard to unravel the mystery. They just weren't doing it. And then on top of that, you got Paul's character who's alcoholic. He's clearly like the same police chief guy turns out to be his father-in-law, and like you said, is covering for him um whenever he gets in trouble for beating up James the junkie. And yeah, definitely a little message about police incompetence in that.
mhm. Yeah, and, it's not even really a liberal agenda when you think about it.
Sure.
It's just like a general issue, that people just have to keep in mind of. Like, certain solutions to it could be like a liberal agenda, but by itself, like, just acknowledging an issue, that it's not necessarily a partisan thing, which I
Oh
appreciated.
yeah, I don't think so. um but on top of that, I think what was another point I wanted to make about the movie? Yeah. So, and another thing is like this is just kind of a side note since we are talking about the liberal aspect of things. There was a gay couple in the movie, but it was portrayed almost kind of like gay couples in the 90s where they're almost like comedic. Like it was BD Wong and this other guy, and they're following each other around the grocery store, and his husband was like super effeminate, like, which cereal do you want? And then like and then like they were wearing like matching Mickey Mouse t-shirts and eating they made dinner for themselves, and it was a tray of like 9 hot dogs, and a gay couple is eating, it was like hot dogs, carrots, and bananas. It was all like dick-shaped foods, and that was what the gay couple was eating for
I didn't
dinner.
notice that. I didn't notice
I
that at all.
literally like I laughed out loud in the theater, and like no one else got it, you know? I was like, "What the fuck? What are they doing?" And they get killed. You don't
Yep.
do that in modern movies. You don't kill the gay they're like dogs now. They, you know, you don't kill them off.
Yeah, and they die in a pretty brutal way. Like, BD Wong, like, he gets possessed by Gladys, the witch, and, like, immediately when he's possessed, like, he holds down like, he starts choking out his husband and then just, like, repeatedly headbutts him, until, his head is just like a little mush, it's just like a puddle. And it the hor like, what, the weird thing is, or the really scary thing is that BD Wong himself was his own skull was getting impacted, so, like, his eyes were, like, bulging out, like, when he was finished. So when he was finished, like, Gladys orders him to go kill Justine, the teacher, and then he just, like, like, just run straight to her because he knows how to because the magic enables him to track her down. And another thing that that backs up my interpretation of this film being a lot of highlighting the death of the community aspect, like a lack of trust, like lack of responsibility within communities, is that BD Wong passes so many people, despite looking like a crazed lunatic, and nobody stops him. Nobody calls the police. He's just running down the street, and the most people are saying is just like, "What the hell? Like, what a weirdo!" And like they're just actively ignoring this guy as like, even though he's clearly a threat.
Yeah, and you know what, you I'll be honest with you, Jack. When you first brought up the comment being like the lack of community in the suburbs, I was kind of like, maybe, but you keep bringing up a lot of really good points, and on top of that, like everyone in the movie, like you said, like Josh Brolin, he's immediately ready to like do all these drastic stuff to get back at the teacher. All of the parents are willing to throw her under the bus immediately. BD Wong, like even her, when Justine is kind of like asking him for help, he's like, this is not appropriate, you know. And then Gladys, she finally shows up to she finally shows up in the movie basically because he asked to see Alex's parents, and of course they can't go because they're mind controlled. So what she does is she has to go in and she pretends to be his aunt, and he's very like, uh well, you know, for legal reasons, I do have to consult with his legal guardians. This is a welfare check. I can't just take your word for it. But he doesn't like do anything else. You know, he just tells the person pretending to be Alex's legal guardian that he has to speak to a legal guardian. And then she shows up at his doorstep, and she's like, and again, obviously, like she's bad, but she shows up and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like I miss my bus. I'm out of breath." And he quite literally is like, "We just sat down for dinner. You need to leave." And then his husband is the one that invites her in for a drink,
Hmm.
and she and it's like it's one of those things where it's like they're like, "Oh, let me get you a glass of water," and she's like, "Oh, I'll take it in a bowl," and he's like, a bowl, and she's like, "Oh, I don't even try to rationalize it anymore," and he's like, "Okay," and then she pulls out this stick with all this voodoo stuff on it, and then he's got like his ribbon, like I don't know, he got some award and she had the
Yeah,
stolen it.
like, when she was in his office, yeah. And,
Yes.
like, he, like, cuts off a piece of his husband's hair, or she cuts off a piece of his husband's hair, and then just, like, wraps it around the stick, and it's only now in in that moment that they realize, "Okay, I'm calling the police." Like, none of that other stuff tipped you off?
Yeah, yeah, and like you could argue that people have been so desensitized to danger because once we kind of later on in the movie we get launched back into Alex's story, like where the story actually begins, which is Alex. He's kind of the odd man out in this class. Turns out that Josh Brolin's son Matthew is a bit of a bully, and
Mhm,
Alex is a little bit of the odd kid. And you meet Alex's parents before they've been mind controlled. They're totally normal, well-adjusted people. And then you hear that, well, my aunt Gladys is visiting town, and
mhm.
they're even talking about it. They're like, the husband's like, why are we doing this? Like, she didn't even come to our wedding. We haven't seen her in 15 years. And the mom's like, we just like what else are we gonna, like, she said it was urgent. And then, we see the dad kind of carrying this big weird potted plant into the house. And and then later on, Alex wakes up for school one day and his parents are blitzed. They're just sitting at the table. They're not talking to him. They're not even really interacting. They're almost like in autopilot mode. And
Mhm.
she basically brings down the kibosh and is like, "You're not going to tell anybody about me. You're not going to tell anyone about anything. Everything is fine." And he's just kind of like unresponsive. And she does a little bit of ritual, and then the parents start stabbing themselves in the face
Yeah.
with a fork. Which I told my friend, because in Barbarian, there's a few moments of violence, and they're like extremely graphic. And he was like, "Is it like that in this movie?" And I was like, "Yes, it is extremely graphic, but it's not until it is." There's several times where like people get stabbed in the face, and it's very like with the fork, it's not over the top. It's kind of realistic. It just pokes like holes and stuff. But then later, I'm sure we'll get to it in a minute. Gladys's eventual demise was insane.
Yeah, and even then, like, before that, you also had, like, Paul's face getting peeled off with a potato peeler, I think it was. Yeah, like,
Yes.
that was gruesome too.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I literally, that was the one moment in the movie that I kind of like, I winced at that. Like I kind of like had to look away. That one gave me the cringe. But something else I thought was like kind of fun about it was the something that I think Zach, is it Zach Kreger?
Yep, Zach Kreger, yep.
Zach Kreger, that he does is he doesn't explain what does not need to be explained. In Barbarian, it's revealed that there's like this tunnel network under the house, and it's like, did the serial killer guy, did he do that himself?
I think it
Was it there before?
I think he did, well, actually, that's a good question if it was there before him. Was it abandoned before he found it? But, he definitely used it to, like, cage women, and then
Yes.
just, like, obviously, like, do things to them, which led to this, like, gigantic inbred monstrosity monster getting made. But, yeah, like, he does a good job of, leaving things open-ended at times, which, lets I feel is effective in uh, making you draw your own conclusions.
Yes, and I like that. I want to thank again our chat real quick. The 1989 theology, Lord of the they're killing it in chat.
Mhm.
I know like when I kind of get on a track in the movie discussion thing, I tend to neglect the comments a little bit. But thank you guys for participating. We really enjoy enjoy it. Some of the stuff you're saying, I'm not sure if I should put up on the screen. But but yeah, I like how it's like, to that same note, we don't really need to know how the tunnels got there in Barbarian. And similarly with like the ritualistic aspect of how the magic of the mind control works, and what, like, is the witch trying to be immortal? It's never really explained, it's never really
Yeah.
shown, because that's not relevant to the story that we're being told. But I did like that like, but there's fun details, like, they do kind of explain to you everything you need to know, like, so how the mind control works. She has the first thing you see is she has a stick, and she has something that belongs to the victim. She had in the first time we see her use it, is with Marcus's character, BD Wong's character. She ties she has a stick with his ribbon on it. She takes a lock of hair from his gay husband and ties that around it too, pricks her finger on it, and then breaks it, and then or rings a bell and then breaks it, and it's like this whole ritualistic process. And then he attacks and kills his husband. And
Mhm.
then on top of, and then like, but then later you see it's like, it's like different for different commands. It's almost like breaking the stick, like ringing the bell activates the mind control. Breaking the stick activates the specific command, because
Yeah.
you see that, like, when she wants to kill somebody, when there's a target to weaponize the people against, she has a belonging of that person and a hair of the victim, breaks the stick, pricks the finger, and then they go and kill that person. At one point, you see her do the ritual to summon all the children to her house. Now, they're not trying to kill anybody, she's just summoning them. And that one involves like this like cauldron, and she mixes in a bunch of these different plants. She puts in a belongings of all the kids with their names on it, like their name tags, and then lights it on fire, and that activates. So there's like this whole behind the scenes ritualistic aspect to it. And all we need to understand is the one that involves assassinating somebody, because the young boy Alex, I'm not really sure why she doesn't mind control him,
I
you
think it's
know?
because she needs someone to do her chores, like, remember, he needs to feed them, soup and stuff, like, make sure everything, runs normally to the degree so that nobody suspects them too much.
Yeah, yeah. I guess like that's the thing about the mind control is it's like it's not like you just have slaves now. They're like the commands that she can enforce on them are very like basic. It's basically like go here, come here, or kill this person. Go stand in a
Mhm.
corner, uh, attack. It's very like simple stuff. So I guess
Y
that makes sense.
yeah.
But
Yeah, and,
Alex, yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna also say, and she also needs them alive to a degree because she's feeding off of their essence, so she's sustaining herself. She's, like, keeping herself alive, by, keeping them alive. So they're kinda like cattle to her.
Yes, yes, exactly. And like, what was I going to say about that? Yeah, well, oh, what I was going to say is Alex, he's basically acting as a servant to the witch, his aunt Gladys. And so over time of about a month, he's able to piece together, like we are, and figure out how the magic works. Because at one point, she basically sets up his parents as drones to protect her magic kit up in her bedroom. He crosses the salt line, which activates his parents to try and kill him. He kind of leads them on a wild goose chase, manages to get past them into her room, and then grab a lock of hair from her wig, wrap it up with the stick that she uses to control all of the children, breaks it, and then she basically, I guess she has some sort of magic sense too. She's able to realize what's just happened,
She just
and it's
goes, "Oh,
this
no."
super climactic scene where you all of the children are basically being stored in the basement. They're just standing up down there, and then you hear, it was like in Jurassic Park with the ripple on the glass. You hear like all these like frantic footsteps, and she's like, ah, like she starts running out the back door, and then all the kids just start like chasing her down.
Right, yeah, and she's going through, like, neighbors' houses, and they're just going like, What's going on? What?" Like, and that's another aspect to this film I like, things happen in broad daylight. Some things happen in the middle of the night, and it's scary, but things happen just the same in broad daylight, which is, adds another whole new layer of, like, horror, because things should just happen, even when you think it's the most safest. And yeah, so her getting killed, like her getting chased down by these kids, is a total disruption to what is seemingly on the surface a normal neighborhood. And when she's getting killed, or when she's getting chased, it just reveals like this whole like underlying secret that this neighborhood wasn't just wasn't aware of. And it's just like a very cathartic scene because on the one hand, uh, you don't this character you hate, you've grown to despise this entire movie, is getting their comeuppance and they're not getting away with it. At the same time, it's it's showing this community that something major has happened and there's going to be it's never going to be the same afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, and that's there was some other movie that was kind of like that. I can't remember what it was, but you're like you said about your point about the community. It's kind of reminiscent of this, where what Gladys's greatest asset is the lack of community. If the
Mhm.
neighbors went to check in on her, like they may have realized something was up. If the neighbors knew anything about the Lilly family, then they would know something was up. And
Yeah.
the FBI agents, they could be forgiven maybe for like being fooled by Gladys, but like for the interview with the FBI, she brings along the mind controlled dad of Alex, but she just says, "Oh, he had a stroke, and mom's away for the weekend." But they don't look into that, you know, like they don't really press it. And of course, she's like, "Oh boy, come on in, guys!" Like when the FBI shows up to question her at the house, and they're just like, "Hey, how's it going? All right, see ya." Like it's no wonder the nothing's getting done because uh Lord of the Rings says no forgiveness, they're feds. Yeah, they just don't care. Like no one cares, which is why Gladys is able to get away with this for so long. And it's only when Justine and Matthew's dad, Josh Brolin, care enough to actually try and figure out what happened, and they don't even have to try that hard.
Yeah. And let's see what else. Well, I guess that begs the question: what do you think Zach Kreger was trying to say with a character like Gladys? What does she represent?
Astrology girls, don't get involved.
I that's a good takeaway. I also think that he's just commenting on parasites in general. How if you don't care enough, like parasites will just tend to fester onto you and your community. And the film kind of alludes to this in a couple ways, like in Alex's story, like there's a lesson being taught by Justine on parasites, and the gay couple they're watching a movie. They're watching sort of documentary on parasites. I'm not sure if you remember that, but even besides like Gladys, there's like James and Paul, the cop, can be described as parasites in a way too, because James is just this worthless junkie who's who gets by on robbing people. Like he calls his like brother or something and says, "Yo, hey man, can I borrow like some money for like a suit so I could get this job? Why'd you hang up on me? What the fuck?" And then like Paul, as you said, he's a nepo baby. He doesn't. He's not a good cop. Like he's not good at protecting the community. In fact, if he hadn't like prioritized himself and like reported what James did, like what James found before going to the house, he would have saved both himself himself and James along with the entire community, like, the movie would have ended by then, but no, like, he's an idiot, so the movie continues. But yeah, like, in addition to community yeah, in addition to the communities aren't what they used to be point, the parasite aspect, blends itself in nicely along with it or complements itself nicely uh, by just, adding by just being this, like, force or that decays on something that could be made better.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. And I you saw me put my head in my hand a minute ago because I was like, I can't believe that I forgot about that. Cause I literally it was so obvious. It was like, so you get a flashback to her teaching the class, and there's in big words, parasites, and a bunch of examples of parasites. And then they're watching the documentary about the cordyceps virus and its effect on ants. And it literally basically says as much as like it mind controls the ants, and now they no longer have free will. And it was like, okay, so clearly that's what's going on here. And on top of that, Gladys, she's clearly using all of these people, Alex's parents, Alex's classmates, to sustain herself. She is draining their life force, I assume, in some way to propel her life further. So yeah,
Mhm.
the metaphor about parasites was there, and I can't believe I forgot to bring that up. So good on you for doing that. And
Yeah.
you want to hear something funny? I so on the whiteboard where she's basically it says parasites and it gives a list. Next to it, it said whales. Oh, you know what? You know what?
What?
So here's what I was thinking when I saw whales. Maybe there was like some frequency they had to play and that stopped the mind control. That's what I was thinking when I
Mm,
saw whales next to parasites. But to your point about community, all whales travel in pods.
mm.
Whales are some of the most familial animals on the planet, and it was contrasted next to parasites. So
It's
I
a good
think
detail.
you're onto something there.
Yeah,
Jazz Studio Lab says WTF. I don't I don't know who any of these people are, but thanks for joining us, Jazz Studio Lab.
yeah, but, let's see, we've covered a lot of ground for the film, so what else is left? Like, I guess, let's see. Like the ending, I guess, like them confronting Gladys. Because as you said, they almost don't succeed, but if it weren't for Alex, like like quietly, researching or analyzing what exactly the trick to his aunt's sorcery is, which leads to him just turning all of the kids on her and killing her.
Yeah, and then like we had kind of mentioned earlier, and we won't leave the audience in suspense anymore. So the kids they get weaponized to kill Gladys. She realizes this, starts running. 17 missing kids they're like the T-1000 from Terminator 2, where they are like viciously and ferociously chasing down this old woman. She's running through people's houses, and these like 9-year-old kids are busting through windows. They're knocking through doors. They're like zombies, like climbing up fences after her. Eventually, they're running through people's houses. Eventually, they catch up to her and they quite literally tear her limb from limb. They're like
Mhm,
biting her ears off, they're thumbing her eyes out, and this quite satisfying ending where she literally gets ripped to shreds, and then the spell is broken, or at least partially broken, where I assume it's a time based thing because Josh Brolin, she managed to get a locket from him to mind control him to kill Justine. And he had only been under her spell for like about literally like probably a minute or two.
mhm.
She dies and he just kind of snaps out of it and is like, what the hell? And then he goes after his son. The parents of Alex who were under the spell the longest, it's later reported that they're basically in comas. You know, they're
Yeah,
just gone forever. And the kids who had been under the spell for a month, it's they were all just kind of in this daze, and the narrator sums it up by saying, "And now some of them are talking again," and that's how the movie
yeah,
ends.
yeah. I like that detail because it highlights the fact that it's not a happy ending. It's still a tragedy, like with like a effects or with side effects for everyone involved because it was in fact a traumatic event.
Yeah, and because I what I thought was going to happen was that Alex's parents, when the mind control was broken, they were going to die because, they had basically been for more than a month in like, like they never really slept. They sustained many injuries, and I thought the kids might snap out of it, but it wasn't like a it was a good ending in the sense that they found the kids and everything, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't a happy ending, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and it ended on a sour note, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, but
But definitely, I'm gonna come back to this movie. Like when it comes out on streaming or DVD or whatever, I'm gonna watch it again, and I wanna have like in rewatching it, I'm sure that the both of us will be able to pick up on stuff that we did not pick up on the first time.
I think so too. And I heard that like in interviews, Zach Kreger said that he would be interested in doing a sequel. And I don't know about you, but a lot of movies nowadays, I think that I hear are getting sequels. I'm just like, oh man, that's totally not necessary. Let it be a standalone. For this, I see valid justification in having a sequel. Like, I'm curious to see where these kids end up, like years later, and what storytelling potential could come from that.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this to you in one of our past streams, but years ago, me and my younger brother, we had an idea. It was like, how fun would it be to have a show that's an anthology series? All the stories are unrelated, they're not connected, but each episode of this show is like a total thematic change, total genre change, sequel or prequel to existing properties. So,
Mm,
like, we were coming up with several ideas, and one of them was like, what if you had a horror movie where it's about at the end of Monsters Inc., like Randall, he gets thrown into the human world, and it's like, what if it's a like a horror movie about the family that lives in the trailer home, like all this strange goings on happening, like doors open and close on their own, the door slams in the middle of the night, but what it really is he's like, because he's a chameleon, it would be live action, and
yeah, yeah.
like it's like him trying to get back to the monster world, and that's like revealed at the end. And another one we had is it's like a modern day sequel to Pirates of the Caribbean, where
Mm,
what if scuba divers found the treasure in the first movie, and then they get the curse where they become undead, but in the modern day?
yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like thematically changing sequels or prequels to existing properties. That would be like fun. And and similarly, like that could be, it could be good. I feel like this movie though, I feel like it stands on its own. Um it's one of those things where like there's things in the movie. Like clearly there's witches, and clearly there's like voodoo mind control magic. How do you make a sequel to this movie that doesn't have to do, like, it would clearly have to be something related to that, or just like a sequel based on these characters and it has nothing to do with the magic at all?
Mm,
I would be okay with that, but who's going to make it? You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, but again, like since it seems as though we're uh running out of things to talk about for the film since we like got to the ending. I'm gonna repeat what I said at the beginning. Say I think this is the best film I've seen all year. Like, there's some other good films that have come out, like Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh, was pretty good. F1 with Brad Pitt, that's a serviceable like race car movie. Sinners, even Sinners was pretty good, but like I would say, but Weapons stands above like all of those so far.
I think so too. So, with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up here. What do you give? What score do you give Weapons?
I give it like a 9 out of 10. I
I
think
give it a
that's
solid 9 out of 10 too, dude. I you know what? I'll even screw it. I'll give it a 10. Um,
okay.
like obviously it's like kind of a 10 in its own category. There's not much I would change about it. It was fun. It was extremely stylized. Love the music, love the cinematography, love the characters. 9.5 or 10 easily for me.
Yeah. If I maybe on a rewatch, I'll give it a 10 if it still holds up, but for me, yeah, again, it's a positive experience. I think, if people see it at a theater, they'll enjoy it too, so I definitely recommend it.
Absolutely. Well, Jack, thank you for joining me. And if you guys, all of you in chat, I want to thank 1989 Theology for sticking around. Lord of the Ree. These are a lot of holdovers from our normal channel outside the over 10. Jim Minshaw, thank you for showing up, dude. And late as always, Off Center Forge. You guys are the goats. And I'm going to wrap it up here. This is Josh Vandernoord and Jack of KinoFlex. Again, if you're not subscribed, his link is in the description. Go subscribe to KinoFlex. I stand by it. I've watched a bunch of his videos. They're good. They're entertaining. Go check them out. Anything you want to
Yep.
say, Jack?
I'm going to work on my next video, and it should be out tomorrow, for those interested, so stay tuned.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What's it about? You got to give us a little tease here. Yeah?
It's the finale to this, series that I've been doing, that's responding to another YouTuber over Ironheart. You've probably seen those,
I have.
videos,
Yes.
but,
Been
yeah,
enjoying it.
a lot of people have been asking for it, and this is the finale to that series, so I'm looking forward to finally getting it done.
Sweet dude. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out because you make some good points about that guy. But again, this has been Cinema Saturday with Josh Vandernoord and Jack of KinoFlex, and we'll catch you guys later.
Yep, have a good one.